I know like people can easily fall into that victim mentality where it's like, I can't say no, like I'm helpless, like I can't do it. And I love how you're tracing it back to like beliefs as well, and to start with
Hmm.
those beliefs and that underlying foundation of self worth.
Yes. And it is. And it's so true. And, people are like, well, how do you fix self worth? That's so woo. But you can start with just practicing saying no. And there's ways to do it. Like one, for example, is, maybe something's landed on your plate or maybe you're double booked or, whatever's going on. You can say, do you want this or that? Or this is going to take X number of days or weeks or whatever. Would you like me to do this first or then that? Or we have this many resources. Would you like, and with this many resources, we can do it in X amount of time. But if we get more resources, we could do it in Y amount of time. Which would you like? And start pushing back, like giving those choices. I'm like kind of explaining why. Like, here's what's going on. Here's our resourcing. And make sure you give reasonable resourcing. Don't give how long it'll take if you work 24 hours a day, 5 days straight. Don't do that. Give reasonable resourcing, and communicate it. And I started to do that because I had to, right? Because I can no longer do five people's jobs. I can no longer work all day, every day. Um, and I was shocked that I did not, well, first of all, I didn't lose my job. My biggest fear, didn't lose my job. I did not get laid off. What I ended up with was a team. They gave me people. So now I had 3 or 4 people to do the job I was doing by myself previously. So I recovered from burnout. I got promoted. I got a team, got the resources I needed. And so saying no can open up amazing doors. So you're not going to shoot yourself. If you learn how to do it right, you're not going to shoot yourself in the foot. You can accelerate your career. You can provide even more value to your boss, to your company, to your clients than ever before by saying no in the right way.
Yeah, exactly. And for all of our overachievers out there, what advice would you give them?
Yes, I am the queen of too busy. So a lot of it is maybe we've grown up thinking that we have to prove ourselves or to be worthy or lovable, we have to be achieving something at all times. I think the first step for an overachiever um, is to add yourself to list, add yourself to the top of the list, right? Use it for good. Use your tendency to want to check off those boxes just to fill your own cup. So leverage your superpower and get yourself on the top of that list. That would be the first thing. The second thing that I would do is make sure that also on the list is a moment of reflection and celebration because people who have those long lists that never stop tend to never realize how amazing they are, how much they've accomplished because they feel like their cup is always like they're not worthy enough. They have to keep on striving and striving and trying and pushing. So by celebrating yourself, by acknowledging what you do every day, every week, and just like have that be one of the things on your list that you do that you schedule time for is you look back and you say, oh my gosh, look what I've done, look what I've accomplished. And look at the another big shift is look at the impact, not the busyness. So we're all busy. We've been taught we're in a hustle culture. We've been taught that to be busy is to be worthy. Take a breath, do a retrospective. How much impact did you actually have? Are you going the direction you want to go? Or are you on a endless hamster wheel to nowhere? Because you can be very busy and accomplishing a lot every single day and still not be going anywhere that you want to go. You could be living someone else's dream completely. All of these characteristics that I'm bringing up, they're like codependent behaviors, but they're showing up in our work environment, right? And a lot of us have done work on ourselves and our relationships and all these other areas, but we haven't tackled our relationship with work, and so we're burning out. And so that can come from anywhere. So it is kind of like a diminishing of the value of you, of yourself, because either you've been taught that that's selfish, or you've been in an environment where serving others is what you're supposed to do all of the time, and you are last on the list, and that's noble. Um, it could come from other kinds of situations, less healthy situations. It can come from, like I said, the ways that we can get there are that as many people as there are on the planet, there are ways that we can pick up these traits. And it's a unique story for all of us. But really, what is critical is that we realize that we're in the situation that we're in, that we recognize those red flags of, those stages of burnout, or I'm feeling, I'm in stage one, I'm having this stress accumulation. How do I get rid of it? I'm in stage two. Definitely raise your hand and stop what you're doing. right? If you're feeling cynical, if you're feeling dread, if you're feeling checked out, if you're feeling like you're not productive anymore, that is your big red flag to reassess and to do the two things that I mentioned, which was get some support and prioritize yourself, right? Make that mindset shift that you are number one and know you're not being selfish, unless you are a selfish person. But if you're listening to this and it's landing, you're not a selfish person. If you're struggling with people pleasing, if you're struggling with perfectionism, if you're struggling with overhelping, if you're struggling with being too busy all of the time, the likelihood that you're selfish is actually really, really low. You've got the opposite problem. You're on the other end of the extreme. So invest in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing we have not touched on yet is also procrastination.
Oh, yes. So I feel like that is part of you're showing up to work, you've got your laptop open, you're staring at it, nothing's happening. Or you're spending hours working, but nothing's actually getting done. And it's a symptom, it's a sign that you're on the path to burnout, right? That you're in that second stage, maybe heading towards the third stage or in the third stage where you're having your performance impacted by the accumulation of the stress and of the when you're not living, completely authentically, when you're not in alignment with what you need, when you've lost track of that because you're not pursuing your yes, because you're not asserting your voice, because you're not energizing your being, and you get to the point where you're just not productive anymore, whether you want to call it procrastination, brain fog, or anything else, that is time to make a change. It's time to make a change. It's time to invest in yourself. It's time to stop going down that path because you don't want to go from where you are right now to not being able to get out of bed or in the ER or with some other kind of stress created sickness. Because you need to invest in you. You need to, pull back and shift directions and invest in yourself. And you will become more productive as a result. Which is interesting because I had a client who was struggling with this exact thing, right? She's working all day, but she's getting nothing done. Struggling, right? And she was a top performer. I've known her for years. Very brilliant woman. And I asked her, like, well, are you doing anything to fill your cup outside of just working all the time? And she's like, no, I feel so guilty because I'm not getting anything done. So I just have to keep working. And so her productivity just kept going lower and lower and lower and lower. And so we have this myth about human productivity that more is more, or that it's linear, right? You can just keep going and going and going and build and build and build and build. And that's not at all how we work as human beings in terms of being productive and actually having an impact. You can be busy like that, but it doesn't mean you're going to get anywhere. The way human productivity actually works is it's an ebb and a flow, like a tide, right? So you lean in, and with as much intention and strategy, you lean out. So it's an ebb and a flow. And if you're pushing the whole time because you feel guilty about your lack of productivity, your productivity is going to be on a downward spiral. So if you're procrastinating, maybe it's time to take a break. Maybe it's time to stop and reassess and change some other things in your life. Maybe even work less and then have more fun.
Right.
And then when you do sit down to work, you'll be so much more productive, as in not busy, but impactful. You are the linchpin of your life. You have to prioritize yourself in your own care. You are worthy of investing in. So if you want to have the career that you want, the financial well-being that you want, the relationships that you want, you come first.
Well, Hannah, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Where can our listeners find more about your work and connect with you?
Absolutely. So you can find me at serenesuccess.net. And if this is landing with you, if you're a woman and you have a habit of burning out, or if you're like, okay, I am a people pleaser, I'm a perfectionist, that is me, and you're ready to break the cycle, you can go to serenesuccess.net. And there you can find a quiz where you can kind of figure out where in the burnout journey you are, which stage you're in, and exactly what to do next. So you can find that at serenesuccess.net. There's an area there for you to, you can get that quiz. It's called the Burnout Score. So get your burnout score, figure out where you are, and I will send you resources to help you stop it, turn it around, and get it going the other direction.
Hey guys, I would like to take a moment to introduce you to our app, Yoga Plus. You will have access to an incredible selection of videos led by top instructors in yoga, fitness, nutrition, and so much more. Download our Yoga Plus app available on iOS and Android today.